Welcome back to this series on APM project management. In the previous videos, we've looked at the principles that underlie project management and specifically the APM methodology. In this next set of videos, we're going to be taking a more detailed look at some of those topics. And we're starting today with the business case. The business case is the first complete document in the project lifecycle. Without it, we have no idea what the end result of the project needs to be. In simple terms, it tells us our destination. We start with the identification of a problem or an opportunity that we want to address. This could come from a customer request, a change in legal requirements, a recorded underperformance, or any other place. Our first step is to look at potential ways to address this. What could we do? We don't even know if it's going to require a project at this point, so the project manager may not be required. Most of this solution finding and evaluation is done by a group of people, senior managers, a working committee, etc., that later on we may refer to as the project board. Once one or more plausible solutions are identified that appear to be plausible, a business case is produced. Remember from the previous video that a single person owns the business case and is responsible for its creation. It doesn't mean that they write it all themselves, and they may well request help from a range of different people, including project managers. Once the business case or business cases have been completed, they are evaluated, and a decision is made on which, if any, of the business cases will move forward to be implemented. This approval comes from that same group who originally set out to solve the problem that may well become known as the project board. This approval process is our first gate review and represents the end of our concept phase. Once approved, a project manager is identified for each business case, and that project manager begins to plan how to achieve it. And this is the start of our second phase, definition. This image here is a graphical representation of the process the project board will go through to assess all of the ideas that may eventually turn into projects. Depending on your organisation and the way that they like to do things, they may begin this process with drafting a business case for each of the options, or perhaps only doing a full business case for the choices that have been whittled down, so you're only doing business cases for a few. Usually it's going to be somewhere in the middle. The purpose of the business case itself is to evaluate and balance these three main areas. What are the benefits to be gained by undertaking this activity? What are the strategic risks involved in implementing this solution, or indeed not implementing it? And how much will this cost to implement? To take an example, if we look at the introduction of the GDPR legislation in May 2018, most businesses needed to consider how this would impact them. There was potentially a problem that needed to be solved. Ideas of how to solve this particular problem to meet this challenge could have included things like implementation of a new software solution that would be GDPR compliant. Maybe it required updating of policies and procedures, social media platform functionality, etc. Whatever possible solutions were identified, all of them would need to be considered. What are the benefits of each of those, such as implementing a new IT system? Will it result in savings on salary or paying for systems that will be replaced? These are benefits too. There's an opportunity here. This improvement could carry over to other data handling processes, improvements of efficiency, or customer relations. What are the strategic risks involved in doing this? How disruptive is this to the business as usual services? Is this going to impact our reputation in a negative way? And are we potentially going to get into financial debt to pay for this project? Equally important, we must consider the risks of not implementing this project. And as we're talking about GDPR, doing nothing would almost certainly leave the company in a position of non-compliance with the law and all the implications of that. At the time of this video, British Airways are currently facing a £183 million fine for data breaches. It's quite a risk to take not to do that project. The other consideration, of course, is the price tag. How much will this system cost to implement? How much to maintain year on year? And what about lost productivity during the changeover? Do we have to pay for staff training? Do we need new equipment and infrastructure? All of these things must be considered. In addition to these core requirements, the business case answers a few other questions too, such as when should the project start to show those benefits, and hopefully a target schedule. From the project manager's point of view, there are some key takeouts from the business case that we must have in order to start our planning. We must have a clear set of benefits to aim for, and ideally we would want some detail to make sure that we're able to meet them. We need to understand what criteria is to be used to measure our success, and this may be budget, time, quality targets, or anything else useful to the project. If these can be distilled down into a tick list format, this makes our job much easier, as we can literally tick off each requirement as and when it's achieved. With a successfully completed checklist, you should see the benefits agreed. Imagine your project is to build a Formula 1 racing car, but the end result can only go at 50 miles an hour. A project like this is going to have success criteria along the lines of safety, acceleration, top speed, turning circle, etc. Just it goes is not going to be enough. Success factors are different from criteria. Criteria is the goal to reach. The factors are the things that will help you get there or prevent you. So retaining your top transmission mechanic is not a project success criteria, but it certainly could be a factor in you being successful. If you lose those skills, you may not be able to achieve the goals. The factors can also be around the support from the organisation, decision-making capabilities, clear communication channels. Every project will have its own success criteria and its own success factors. Key performance indicators relate internally to the project progress. These are specific things that need to be measured to ensure the project will meet its objectives. What will you track and how often? Most projects will include budgets and schedules as part of their KPIs, but every project is different. One of your KPIs could be the number of customers clicking through to your website following a coming soon marketing campaign. This brings us to the end of this video on the business case and why it is so important to get this right. We simply cannot succeed as a project manager if we don't have this information. I hope you found this video useful and informative. If you have, please leave a like and a comment below. In our next video, we'll be taking a look at stakeholders and how to manage them. Take care.